Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mok-yeon. Lately, we've been seeing a clear shift in how conflicts are being fought around the world. From Ukraine to the Middle East, recent wars are revealing new patterns on the battlefield. Low-cost drones are being used more aggressively, and artificial intelligence is starting to play a bigger role in real-time decision-making. These changes are also reshaping how militaries prepare and how countries compete in the global defense market. For South Korea, that brings both opportunity and risks. Demand for Korean weapons is growing, but so are the strategic considerations that come with it. So where does Korea stand right now, and what needs to happen next to stay competitive? For more on this, we invite Brian Clark, Senior Fellow and Director of the Center for Defense Concepts and Technology at the Hudson Institute. Welcome, Dr. Clark.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And also joining us is Ji-Hoon Yoo, Research Fellow at the Korea Institute for Defense Analysis and a former ROK Navy commander. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me here.
So let's start a discussion right away with Dr. Clark. So from the broader perspective, how are the wars like Ukraine and the Middle East different from the traditional conventional wars? And what are the key changes shaping the future warfare?
Well, I think one of the things that we've seen is this proliferation of weapons technology across all the players in these conflicts. So it used to be that the U.S. and modern militaries had a corner on the market on high-end weapons and precision weapons, long-range strike systems. And you can see now with what's happened in Ukraine and in the Middle East that basically all the belligerents have access to the same basic technologies for long-range strike, autonomous weapons, and also networks and sensing that allow them to execute operations at scale and at high tempo. And what that's meant is that now the competition in warfare is less about the technology that you're able to bring to the battlefield and more about how quickly you can adapt it and create new dilemmas for your opponent. You see this in Ukraine right now, where they're having to update the software for their drones, the software for their sensing systems and their communications on a weekly, if not more frequent basis, just to stay ahead of the Russians. And on both sides, they're mounting this move, counter move competition. And this is because of the advent of digital technology. And it's because all these, both sides have the same kinds of technologies and they can now employ it in more of an adaptation competition than a technology competition.
Oh, adaptation competition. It's a very crucial way to put it. Now, when we bring in Dr. Yoo into the conversation as well, how well prepared do you think is South Korea's military for these kinds of changes that Dr. Clark has mentioned, and what are the most urgent gaps?
Well, I think that the South Korean military is still very strong in the traditional areas of the warfare. It has a solid conventional firepower, a high level of readiness, and a strong domestic defense industrial base. So I would not say that South Korea lacks military capability. The real question is whether it is adapting quickly enough to battlefield that is now being shaped by drones, AI-enabled targeting, electronic warfare, and real-time sensor-to-shooter integration. So in that sense, I would say that South Korea is in an important transition period. It is not unprepared, but it is also not yet fully optimized for this new style of warfare. What needs the most attention now is expanding low-cost unmanned systems that can be deployed at scale, building a more layered and cost-effective counter-drone architecture, and improving joint integration so that information and firepower can be connected much faster across the services. At the same time, doctrine, training, and acquisition also needed to move faster. In future warfare, I think the side that adapts faster will often have the advantages.
Indeed. Now, speaking of, low-cost unmanned systems, in many of the recent conflicts, we're seeing low-cost drones undermining the effectiveness of high-end, multi-million-dollar air defense systems. Dr. Clark, how can countries ensure cost-effective defense against this threat?
Well, one of the things we've seen is transition to using drones to fight off other drones. So the introduction of low-cost drone technology has certainly benefited the offense initially, but we're starting to see, especially in Ukraine, the introduction of drone defenders. So interceptor drones that will go up and run into or blow up around the drones that might be coming in to attack them. That's been a recent change in the Ukraine conflict. So over the last 3 months, Ukraine has driven down the success rate of Russian Shahed and Garan drones down to about 15% from about 30% at the end of last year. So that reduction in about half is because of the introduction of these interceptor drones. So technologies like drones, directed energy, so lasers and electronic warfare, are giving defenders a better ability to counter low-cost drones, especially by taking advantage of the fact that the drones don't have hardened electronics and maybe don't have alternative ways of navigating beyond GPS. So by jamming those GPS signals, by jamming the communication signals, or by attacking the drone itself, these drones are vulnerable to those kinds of measures, which allows the militaries to not have to use a high-end interceptor weapon.
So it seems we really have to deeply understand the nature of these new technologies moving forward. But as for South Korea, Cheongung-2 is gaining attention for its cost performance. How could systems like this change global standards, Dr. Yu?
Well, I think that systems like Cheongung-2 are drawing attention because they reflect a broader change in how military capability is judged. In the past, as you know, many countries tended to focus mainly on whether a system represented the highest level of technology. But recent conflicts have shown that a real military effectiveness is not just about having the most advanced system on paper. It is also about whether that system is affordable, sustainable over time, and available in large enough numbers to be used when it really matters. So I think the cost of performance is becoming a much more important standard in the defense market. A system that is reliable, effective, and affordable enough to be fielded at scale can in many cases be more valuable than a much more, expensive systems that is harder to buy and sustain in large numbers. In other words, countries are now looking not only at how advanced the weapon is, but also at whether it can actually deliver meaningful combat value in the real operational conditions. From that perspective, I think that the Cheongung-2 means more than just a successful Korean defense expert. I think it points to a future in which military capability will be judged more by balance between performance, price, the ability to deploy it in large numbers, and long-term sustainability. And for South Korea, that creates an important opportunities. It means that Korea can position itself as a country that offers not just advanced technology, but credible and practical military capability at a realistic cost.
So let's hope it could pave the way for more cost-efficient technologies moving forward. But lately, Dr. Clark, we're also seeing AI play a bigger role on the battlefield as well. How far do you see the role of AI expanding in future warfare?
Well, I see AI getting used most prominently in command and control systems. Right now, the U.S. has been using AI-enabled software as part of the Maven Smart system in its mission planning in Iran. And they've been able to transition from a cycle for planning that runs about 18 hours to now running those cycles in just a couple of hours, and being able to transition from striking a few hundred targets in a planning cycle to attacking thousands of targets in the planning cycle. Because the AI-enabled tools will help you to take a set of targets you're trying to address and quickly develop plans for being able to address them or counter them with the available aircraft, ships, and weapons that you have on hand. So this ability to rapidly plan operations increases the tempo, and it gives the commander more options for how they build a kill chain to go after targets. So it gives you this adaptability that makes it harder for the enemy to defend against, and it gives you the scale to be able to mount operations in a way that might overwhelm your enemy's defenses. So that's the biggest thing I see now. And then secondarily, we're seeing AI get employed as part of the decision-making systems that are on board autonomous weapons, whether it's a missile or a drone. Those AI-enabled systems are helping those drones counter the electronic warfare and other measures that an opponent might mount against them. So, for example, you can use an AI to help the drone predict its location even when its GPS is jammed by using other sensors like visual sensors or radio frequency sensors.
Right, so clearly it's providing us a lot of more convenience when we use AI, but there are also concerns that South Korea's AI-based combat systems are still in the early stages relatively. Dr. Yu, what do you think is the biggest obstacle to a full deployment?
I think the biggest obstacle is not really the AI technology itself. In many cases, the harder part is creating the right military environment for AI to work properly and reliably. AI-based combat systems need good data, stable communications, trusted command systems, and realistic trainings. If those basic conditions are weak, then even very advanced AI will not turn into real combat capability. For South Korea, this matters even more because any future conflict on the Korean Peninsula would move very quickly, become highly dangerous very early, and likely face heavy electronic interference. That means that AI system must keep working even under jamming, disrupted communications, and severe time pressures. So a real challenge is how to integrate AI into actual operations. South Korea needs a shared data systems, better interoperability, a more repeated field training, and clearer doctrine on how human commanders and AI systems should work together. So I think that the issue is not whether South Korea understands the importance of AI. The real question should be whether it can turn AI from a promising idea into a dependable wartime capability.
So it suggests that Korea still has some ground to cover in that area. Meanwhile, the conflict following the U.S.-Iran conflict, Middle Eastern countries have been requesting faster delivery of South Korean weapons, raising the profile of K-defense exports. But it also, on the other side, raises concerns about being drawn into regional conflicts as well. Dr. Yu, how should Korea manage these risks?
Well, I think South Korea needs to approach this issue very carefully and strategically. I mean, defense experts today are no longer just about trade or industrial policy. They can also create political expectations, strategic exposures, and sometimes the pressure for deeper involvement in regional security issues. So, while the growing demand for Korean weapons is clearly an opportunity, it also brings risks that need to be managed very carefully. So I think that South Korea needs to pay much closer attention to political and strategic risk before making major export decisions, especially in unstable regions. It also needs to keep a very clear line between exporting weapons and making actual security commitment, because arms sales should not automatically create confusion about South Korea's direct role in a future conflict. At the same time, South Korea should avoid relying too heavily on any one market and continue to diversify its export portfolio. In the end, South Korea should keep expanding K-defense exports, but in a way that protects its strategic autonomy and avoids unwanted political entanglement.
Definitely. A very important point, drawing a line between security commitment and exports. It would be very important. Now, specifically, South Korean shipyard took on maintenance, repair, and overhaul work for U.S. naval vessels recently. Dr. Clark, what significance do you think it carries within the global defense supply chain?
Well, it's a major change. In the past, U.S. Military ships have only gone into a few shipyards in Singapore and the Philippines and Japan for maintenance and repair, and now bringing Korea into that mix as well gives U.S. forces more places they can go for support and expands the capacity available to them. It also allows more cooperation between U.S. and Korean shipbuilding and ship design agents, because now we have to share information regarding the construction and design of U.S. ships that are pulling in for maintenance in Korea shipyards. And it can be a starting point for Korean shipyards to do more support for U.S. military forces. Beyond what's happening in Korea, there's also the Hanwha shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that is going to be constructing naval support ships for the United States and may build other ships in the future.
Definitely. Now, finally, before we conclude our discussion tonight, over the next decade, Dr. Yu, what should South Korea prioritize to become a leading defense power globally?
I think that over the next decade, South Korea should aim to become more than just a leading arms supplier. I mean, it should grow into a country with a genuine strategic influence as a defense power that may require a combination of a military strength, technological progress, and a durable industrial base. In the years ahead, being a defense power will not simply be about manufacturing sophisticated weapons. It will also depend on how quickly a country can adjust, how long it can sustain combat operations, and how effectively it can support allied security frameworks. To move in that direction, I think that South Korea needs a more balanced and layered military postures. It should not depend only on expensive top-tier platforms, but also integrate drones, loitering munitions, and lower-cost defensive assets. It also needs to speed up the use of AI, as we discussed, in command systems and in cooperation between human operators and autonomous tools. Just as importantly, South Korea needs, larger ammunition reserves, stronger repair and maintenance systems, and the ability to expand output rapidly during a crisis, because, industrial staying power has now become part of the deterrence. At the same time, overseas arms sales should be handled with a broader strategic mindset, not viewed only through a business lens. If South Korea can bring together innovations, mass production capacity, close alliance coordinations, and consistent long-term planning, it will be well placed to emerge as a truly global defense power in the next decade.
Right. So in a nutshell, it kind of circles back to what we've discussed in the beginning, how much we adjust and adapt to the new definition of defense power. We'll have to keep close tabs on how our defense capabilities would move forward. But as for now, we'll have to leave our discussion right here tonight. Thank you so much for your insights, Dr. Yu.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Dr. Clark as well. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.